Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to With the Braintrust. This is Season 2, Episode 5, and with Mother's Day happened 2 days ago, Father's Day coming up next month, we thought it was interesting topic to discuss what we learn from our parents. So this is part of values and whatnot, but yeah, it's interesting. So before we do this, the Braintrust, let's do a quick introduction. Jenny, give us a quick intro.
My name is Ginny Kanzioka. I am a graphic designer and artist, and I help my clients to communicate who they are, what they do, and most importantly, how they can help their clients.
Perfect. Lita.
Hi, Lita Bunting with Snimka Creations. I'm a professional photo manager. I help my clients make memories instead of manage them.
Perfect. David?
I'm David Levine with I Am Your Virtual Professional. I get businesses found through digital marketing and WordPress websites.
Thank you. And I'm Michael Rattay, a ball-brained creative, imaginative photos and videos to tell your story. And so obviously I was kind of writing this email as we're prepping for Mother's Day, and this is where the topic came in, but something with my father that is stuck with me and is one of these. He was always too honest. And I think to my detriment, I did that for a minute, but I feel like, for lack of a better phrase, the honesty and just, there's so many times where, not so many times, that sounds bad, but there's been times where I feel like you can stretch the truth, or you'll like not fully say everything, but it always comes back around to just bite you in the butt. So if you're not fully honest right off the bat, I feel like that's just something that causes more trouble than can be worth. So I always appreciated that my dad was almost too honest. And that's where I think when someone is almost too something, then you can learn, oh wait, there's tact involved with honesty. And so I learned both of those things, I'll just say, from him. So, and I don't know, I think it's helpful. So who else wants to jump in next? Yeah.
We started out driving a truck for the post office, and then they wanted to switch the guys driving the trucks to, being letter carriers. So he would often take me to the post office when it was his day off to pick up his check. So I get to meet some of the guys at the post office. But he also had a part-time job in the evening. He was a professional draftsman. He worked for a company called Electromatic Products. It was owned by two brothers, and the one brother managed to buy out the other brother, but this guy was kind of a nutcase. So he was temperamental, very temperamental. So my dad would be, working in the drafting room, but sometimes after dinner he'd have to go back because they were making these huge transformers, and they would have to go in the oven after they had been sitting in this some kind of resin that they had to soak up, and he'd have to go put them in this enormous oven. And he would always tell me, because he worked late those nights, when you answer the phone, he'd always tell me how to answer the phone. And he'd go, "Good evening, Electromatic Products," So I learned that kind of stuff from him. And my first job out of college, I had to answer the phone a lot. I was working for a very small advertising agency in the Wrigley building. So it was a fun job. I enjoyed it, but I learned a lot from him, just telling me those simple things,
Right.
and telling me about responsibility. And I was lucky because even though I was an Illinois State Scholar after I graduated high school, he didn't want to apply for the scholarship because he didn't want to disclose his amount of income. So, but my parents, whenever I got money as a gift, they would put it in the bank for me and save it. And then by the time I went to college, that money paid for my college education. So I graduated with no loans.
Which is great. So there's a couple of things in there. So that's, yeah. And this is the other thing about keeping this quick too, is that we could probably extend this to a very long episode, but even hearing that, I heard like 4 different things that you learned from them. So who wants to jump in next? Lita, David?
Sure, I'll go. So I'd say that we're kind of on the dad kick here, and an unspoken lesson that I learned from my dad was about work ethic, and it was kind of more of a teach by example. That man left for work at 7 a.m. He came home at 7 p.m. He did evening meetings, and he was in corporate America. He wasn't being paid by the hour, but he did what he needed to do. And so when I entered corporate America, I thought normal work hours were 7 to 7. And I remember my boss being like, "Why are you still here?" And I'm like, "Well, because there's work to be done." And people are like, "Our hours are 9 to 5." I'm like, 9 to 5? Who works 9 to 5? I had no idea. But it was just kind of, it was instilled in me that you show up, you do the work, you don't take 2 hour lunches or whatever. I mean, now I do, but I work for myself. So it was an unspoken lesson that I learned from him. One of the many lessons I learned from him.
Yeah, work ethic. That's, again, something else. David, how about you?
So, like Lita, I'm not sure which parent I got it from, but work ethic was definitely one of the things that was drilled in from a young age, and showing up on time. And, on time was 5 minutes early. Like my wife just said in the background, if you're on time, you're late. You get there 5 or 10 minutes early. So like, it was a combination of like getting places on time and having a work ethic. So it's going to sound like a crazy thing to say. My dad used to volunteer at the synagogue on Sunday mornings. And when the kid who didn't show up to wash the pots and pans for the men's club breakfast didn't show up, my dad volunteered me. And I started working in second grade, probably against every law in the history of laws, in the synagogue on Sunday mornings. I think I got paid $2 a week. I don't think it was even $2 an hour, but I got to eat all the lox and bagels and scrambled eggs I could eat. But it instilled a work ethic that I knew that on Sunday mornings, I was hanging with my dad and the other kids that were there, which was fun. So I can't really say it was work, but it was work. We were working, we were having fun, but it really did teach a valuable lesson that when you say you're going to be someplace, A, you're there on time. B, there's another lesson, I guess. It's kind of your word is, your bond. If you say you're going to be there, you're there.
Right.
When you get there, you do what you say you're going to do. And it's kind of those things of getting there on time, working hard. Your word is, you're keeping your word. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that I know that I've brought with me wherever I've worked, whether it be for somebody else or for myself. Yep. And, I know certain places I've worked, like Lita, when she said she was like 9 to 5. What do you mean? I thought it was 7 to 7. You don't take a 2-hour lunch, like those type of things. There's a certain thing that, I was the guy that didn't take the 2-hour lunch and work through lunch and, or got to work early. And, as I was in corporate America, I got promoted because I was working harder than my peers. So those things,
right.
Definitely those lessons that I learned definitely paid off for me.
Right. Well, and this is, I think, easier said than done because it's through doing that you can tell someone something. But I think what we're all sort of saying is that showing and doing is like how the actual lesson gets applied. And that is, it's all like the leading by example, right? So, yeah. And I know it's I'm going to keep this brief because even hearing everything that you guys just said, I feel like everyone's made a point for one thing, but I think there was like almost 3 things inside of each of those points that was like, that we're reflecting on. So whoever is listening to our massive loyal audience, just reflect on all those individual things that we just said, because there are so many, little things on there. And I know as parents too, just to bring it, I guess, full circle, is that we of course want to instill a lot of these things in our kids. And so, again, leading by example and doing is one of those ways that we can get it across.
I do think that we try to teach with words, and that's not necessarily what's going to impact and last, because I'm sure my dad told me a whole bunch of stuff, but what I reflected on today and what I remembered was things that he did without saying. So whether we're teaching mentors, mentees, or interns, I mean, they're going to watch us more than they're going to listen to us.
Right. Yeah.
When I worked
Right.
for the small ad agency, we used to get a lot of projects in that had to be done very quickly. So I would take it home, I would design it, and then bring it in and then actually execute it. And because of that, I got some of the more interesting projects to work on.
Like I said, let's keep this short because we could have easily done this as like an hour and a half, everything we've actually learned from our families and our parents. So I think we summed it up, right? That was basically it. You do it, you get it by doing. So whatever example you're gonna give, you're gonna do. So thanks everybody for listening, and see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.